Morning, I'm Tommy Jacopin. We are in K2 and on this tools concerning sustainability and corporate social responsibility, we are going to figure out what it has become a sensitivity in the last decade. So first, before trying to to shed the light on this element, I suggest you to enjoy those videos. You will see there each of them, when you look at them, will provide you some true value. So first one, it's about Al Gore. He won the Nobel Prize, Peace Nobel Prize, for his action in favor of environment. And basically, when you saw these figures about how, let's say, major places in the world have changed so much, well, you are forced to say, hey, here, there's some point and we need to do something. I'm not saying that there's no mistake in this movie. There are. It has been argumented. There are more than 25 mistakes. But it's convenient to see that we cannot act as if there was no global warming, as if there was no climate change. Okay, so this is one. Second one is maybe you know more or you watch more Wall Street 2, realized as well by Oliver Stone, but it's quite interesting that Wall Street 1 was realized in the 80s, at the moment where UPs, as young European professional, the typical Wall Street trader, were making lots of money. And the main character is Goran Gekko. If you don't know, Goran Gekko has been was inspired by a real character, Michael Milken. He was James Bond king, and basically the initials of Goran Gekko as for greed is good, and this is a speech, and it's really paradigmatic of the 80s. Easy money, no moral, and when you go through the speech, you can see that there are many problems. To make a second type and second movies concerning the atmosphere, it's even more obvious what was the message of Oliver Stone. If I don't know if you know it, Oliver Stone's father was a trader as well, so you can even understand why it's even better. Okay, so this is some elements that you can say. Okay, environment is important. What shall greed? So we need to be respectful. 3, Shell versus Greenpeace. Here it's interesting according to 2 points of view. So in the first link, it's well, I could have picked many highlights, but this is about BBC One, and basically it's just to tell the story, just to let you understand it. Basically, in 1995, Shell in the North Sea wanted to dismantle a platform, and as you can imagine, Greenpeace didn't want it. So here, you got several issues that are quite interesting. First, Greenpeace was not so well known as it is right now, in terms of we are going to fight, we're going to use communication, we're going to, it's just like, it's not a selfie, but they put a pitch and so on, and it's fantastic what they did. And afterwards, they send it to newspapers, they send it to news, to the major TVs, they show it, and to a certain extent, the image and the reputation of Shell got damaged. So here, what is interesting is Shell didn't realize what was at stake. They called Margaret Thatcher, the former Iron lady, and basically Thatcher sent the soldiers, and basically you saw the soldier kicking out all Greenpeace activists. So you can imagine the problem. So at this point, Greenpeace was able to leverage lots of awareness among people, and Shell was a bad guy. So this is, let's to sum it up, issue 1. Issue two, you can see some interesting fact is that the solution that Shell wanted to adopt was better than the solution of Greenpeace. So NGOs do not necessarily, have the truth. So it's really important. But if you don't exchange with NGOs, obviously you will generate a problem. So transparency, accountability, and exchange. But it's really important just to see it. And then you've got another ad. It's about BP, British Petroleum, just saying that hey, there were some options to move ahead. There were some options to acknowledge the fact that you're not going to have oil for any time. So by changing and by moving towards renewable energies and towards oil energies, BP created BP Solar, BP Renewable Energies. The change in slogan, it became Beyond Petroleum. So it has changed completely the image of the firm. By saying this, very important, I'm not saying that because the CEO at this period was Laura Brown, he is responsible of the mistake that led to the disaster of the Mexico Gulf. Watch out. It's really important that you pay attention to it. But it paves the way towards some initiatives. So when NGO, what interests me at this point is just to see, hey, when NGOs have some initiatives, if because people dedicate a war life to this cause, please take them into consideration. So not right necessarily, but here you can see again, you've got a new reality emerging. And last but not least, it's important that to realize, as someone in Sorrow from WPP said, anyone can target a company from the jungle with internet and a laptop. And that's the reality. And here you got an example, or here it's freewire.org. And it just to show that when a company got targeted, they're promoting some alternatives. So major change. And of course Enron. But about Enron, I'm going to come back to it a bit later on. Okay, so when we are talking about the cause of the boom, what I would recommend you to proceed is instead of just going to the solution at once, you make a pause and you say, okay, I listened to this example, I watched the video, what can I say now? And here you've got, you got it. So the major justification concerning CSR are, first, limitation of the states within globalization. State cannot act, they have got formal limitation, and this paves the way to a growing influence of the company. If we contrast, I know the comparison, it doesn't work fully, but if we contrast the GDP of countries with the sales, I'm not saying the market cap of the firms, you would be surprised to see that you've got more than 50 companies in the top 100 economies of the world. Okay, so relevant to be taken into consideration, and companies by opposition to countries can have one single policy, and they can move and they can give some priority to some country or some other. So it's always more difficult for countries to lead some policy. And these two elements have two major implications. One is if countries used to focus mainly on their national champions to move ahead and say, and what used to be said that competitiveness of a country depends on the competitiveness of my 10 top firms. It's no more the case. Why? Because they're so much internationalized that basically the risk is the national risk doesn't exist anymore. So in that sense, and this is the second implication, countries need to focus far more on SMEs than on MNCs. on small and medium enterprises than on multinational corporations, because they are they've got, let's say, some responsibility to their territory. So complete different issue. Okay. Third point, you've got the growing influence of the NGOs. Just we mentioned the case of Greenpeace. We could have mentioned Red Cross, Worldwide Fund. Well, many. Because here we're talking about more than 110,000 NGOs. When we say international, it means present in more than 5 countries. And it's quite interesting to see, if you follow it, is that UK has decided to stop giving cooperation to India. So India said, well, no problem. Even if you see the number of people living with less than $2 per day, in India we're talking about around 400 million people. And they say, no, we don't need it. So issue 1, go ahead. And issue 2, even more fascinating, BRIC countries are creating their own NGOs just to extend their soft power. Interesting, isn't it? Fourth one is maybe, and I hope, the more well-known issue among the ones that justifies the emergence of corporate social responsibility and sustainability. Problem, Kyoto Protocol, just to lower the emission of toxic gas, Stern report, and so when we go to the fifth, we can see that there are plenty of scandals of companies. Enron, AstraZeneca, Parmalat, Siemens. I mentioned a few there. Obviously, I could add a ton of companies that have been involved with ethical problem. Now, I decided to choose those ones because it's important to realize that CSR boomed in 201. And 201, it's Enron. Okay, so now I'm going to explain more the case of Enron. But what you can see here is that, globally speaking, most of the reason why CSR has been developed is linked with negative value. And here we can see that you got another way of making it is much more positive, that links with value creation with stakeholders. Okay, so we'll come back to many K2 anytime videos on this, but at this point, let's try to explain Enron. So here, as I mentioned, is the scandal that changed everything. So just to try to explain it all. So here you've got the 4 major characters: Late, Fasto, Berardino, and Duncan. So when we're talking about Enron, we're talking about the companies that invented the energy trading. They had a special license to proceed, and initially they had a typical business of an energy company. They were trying to expand in US at the international level, but they wanted to say, hey, let's go to stock exchange. Let's make some trading here, as if we were a bank, and we are sure that we can move at a much bigger speed, and it will be fantastic. So from this point, okay, it's fine, no problem. They began growing. So in terms of results on inquiries, there was no problem. And they became so important that they, well, I don't know if you know it, but they were based in Houston, Texas. And what is quite interesting is that they became so important that they became the first company that backed Bush. They were backing Republican, and so there's a strong political case behind it. I'm not saying Republicans are responsible about it. No, to a certain extent they were victim of it because they lost their sponsor for the second mandate of Bush. So it has to be said. But they wanted to say, hey, what are we going to do? And on the other hand, there was at this time the best auditing company, Arthur Andersen. So what happened? There were trading companies that began having some problems in terms of result. And I don't know if you know it, but basically energy are traded through futures. So if you get a problem in terms of rentability, you when your futures arrive at maturity, you acquire a new future, you make a medium an average value, and basically it gives the impression that it still goes up. What is the problem? Well, the problem is when you're doing it, cash is going down. So officially, when you make your your profit and loss account, basically it seems that profit is going up, but the real issue is cash is going down. And to a certain point, what happened to Enron is that they just went to bankruptcy for just not to have any cash left in their banking account. So it was a major surprise. Nobody knew it, and excepted the auditors. So what has to be taken into consideration is that at Arthur Andersen, and David Duncan was the audit manager, they knew it, but it was the major account in the world of Arthur Andersen. It was an account of 25 million USD per year, 25 million USD. So they didn't want to lose this client for several reasons. One, it's the best one. Two, if they lose Android, they will lose many of them. And three, Republican can be tough with this aspect, is that basically if you are not with the Republican administration, they may use retaliation against your company. So, but the third one is not so important. So the big issue is that they make a big trick. They add the complicity with Arthur Andersen, and at this point, what they decided to do in the Bush administration, they say, okay, we're going to take up your license to operate. What? Well, yeah, we're going to take up your license to operate. So what happened? Well, Arthur Andersen disappeared. They disappeared. Okay, so this is the principle of through which it goes, because it was such a big problem that they decided to cut the head of Arthur Andersen. You say, why was it possible to do it? Well, it was possible to do it because when we're talking about major auditing firm, basically they are all American. So all the customer will get split among American firm, and there was no problem. Okay, so this is one issue. And the last issue is that the management that they had at Enron was rank or yank. What does it mean? Every quarter, the 10% bottom was out of the firm. So it encouraged people to have any behavior just to remain at the top. Take into consideration that Enron at this time was just like Apple, Google, Samsung company in terms of reputation, and it was the best place to work in. So people would have done anything to stay in, and there was a complete lack of ethics. But you will say, hey, okay, but this is only one scandal more. Yes and no, and this is the point. After this scandal, law was voted, Sarbanes-Oxley, and basically this is because what they were always saying, CEO and CFO, is well, we were not aware about the situation. Well, basically it changed with the Sarbanes-Oxley. Right. What does it mean? It means that if you are the CEO, or if you are the CFO of a company, you need to know everything that happened in your company, and this is the reason why they had to create some internal mechanism to see what's up in the company, not to be sent in jail, basically. This is the reason why when we're talking about CSR, we are talking much more about negative aspect first, and only after come the positive outcome with the possibility to create value. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you understand it. And remember, basics, it's good payback. Bye bye. Enjoy.